BBC Radio Mersyside.
Now, it is Grand National Week, of course. The festival gets underway on Thursday this week. I'll give you more details a bit later on of how BBC Radio Mersyside will be covering the event. But if you remember back to last year's race, you might remember that the start of the Grand National was delayed by the campaign group Animal Rising. Well, last Friday, the same group issued a statement to say they wouldn't have a presence at this year's meeting. Let's find out why, shall we? Ben Newman is from Animal Rising and is with me now. Why are you not doing anything this year? Did you not see last year as a success for your organisation?
Good morning, Phil. I'd be lying if it wasn't on the agenda at one time. But no, last year was a massive, we'd say it's success, because it was the UK's #1 story for a couple of days, and I think it had quite an impact on a lot of people. I think largely because Hill 16 was one of the horses just went over and died over the first jump, and it brought a level of attention to that there never really had been before.
Every year we do seem to hear about the jumps and the fences. We hear from the Jockey Club, and they do seem to have a real focus on safety and making the jumps safer each year. What's your response to when they say that, when they come and tell you, you know what, we're listening and we're going to make the jumps safer?
Yeah, that's primarily about saving face rather than saving lives. Because, for example, the Grand National, for the last 5 years since 2023, a horse has died on average every single year. So there's a 1 in 40 chance a horse that runs the Grand National will die, which is a better odd to live than to win the race for most. So it's obviously an industry that's trying to keep itself alive, and that's fine. But jump racing is definitely to the extreme end of horse racing.
We heard from the Philip Leverhulme Equine Hospital earlier. They work with Aintree if horses get badly injured. They did actually mention that sometimes protesters like yourselves can actually cause harm by getting in the way of the track and by, affecting horses' behaviour, even tiring them out. What would you say to that?
Yeah, well, that's what last year. So maybe as a recap, last year we delayed the event by 15 minutes. There were 118 arrests, and then a horse went over the first jump and died. But strangely, that was the exact same thing that happened in 2019. But anyway, we're not going to be here this year, and I'm sure if more horses do die, there'll be quite a lot of focus on it, and we won't be there to blame.
Do you think that public perception of the Grand National and jump racing in general, do you think people are starting to get on your side a bit more?
Yeah, obviously there are still people who support horse racing, but I just don't think many people think about the animals or the cruelty very much. So we received, for example, dozens of emails from people saying, I'd never thought about it before, and now I've changed my mind. And we were on, people left last year, people left Grand National crying, actually left the race crying. It was quite strange. And TV producers or radio show hosts the next day were Rachel Johnson, I remember, Boris Johnson's sister, was in shock. So I think, it's still a lively debate, but it's definitely, there's a lot of people who support who don't support the Grand National and horse racing in general. Yeah. Is
it just that the jump racing that you're bothered by, or would you be doing away with it altogether if it was up to you?
Yeah, we'd be against all horse racing, because this is really about our animals here for us to sort of use for our entertainment and because it's fun, or do we want to find another way to relate to them? So no, because horse racing, for example, all horses are whipped. They all have a metal bit in their mouth, which is used to control them. And then they're being raced so people can gamble on them. So I think that's like inherently cruel and unnecessary. But the extreme end is jump racing, and particularly the Grand National. Yeah.
But there's never been such a focus on the safety of the National as there has been. If you think of how it's changed over even the last 5, 10, if you can go further back, 15, 20 years, it has to be a positive, doesn't it, that safety is a concern for those at Aintree and for other horse racing venues?
But the thing is, the safety, the changes they're bringing in are designed to prolong the life of jump racing at the Grand National. or in the UK, they don't really. I mean, the best way we could preserve and protect the horses is, of course, not doing the jump racing or not doing horse racing, because a horse still in the UK dies every other day on a British racetrack, which is it's completely unnecessary death. It just doesn't need to be happening. And I do understand, some people enjoy watching horse racing, but I think we need to think about if there are other ways we could be enjoying ourselves that don't involve hurting animals.
Ben, we are just about running out of time, so we will leave it there for now. But thank you very much for your time this morning. Ben Newman from Animal Rising, who've announced that they won't be doing any disruptions like they did to the start of the race last year, and just explaining the reasons for it there. And it does open up the debate, doesn't it, about the Grand National and horse racing safety. What do you think about what Ben had to say there? Do you agree with him? Do you disagree with him? And why? Let me know this morning. 0800 731 9333 if you want to give us a call, or you can WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Make sure you start your message with the word Mersey. Coming up after